The story of Hiroo Onoda, a Japanese soldier who remained hidden in the jungles of the Philippines for nearly 30 years after World War II ended, is one of the most extraordinary tales of loyalty, survival, and the human spirit. Onoda's unwavering commitment to his orders, even in the face of global peace, highlights the profound consequences of war, discipline, and isolation. Background: World War II and Onoda's orders. Hiroo Onoda was born in Japan in 1922 and enlisted in the Imperial Japanese Army. In 1944, during the Pacific Campaign, Onoda was deployed to Lubang Island in the Philippines. His orders were clear: never surrender under any circumstances. Conduct guerrilla warfare against the enemy until relieved by orders from headquarters. The Japanese military valued unwavering loyalty, and Onoda internalized these instructions completely. Life in the jungle. After Allied forces secured the Philippines, Onoda and a small group of soldiers retreated into the dense jungle, believing the war was still ongoing. Guerrilla operations. Onoda carried out raids on local farms and military outposts, interpreting any reports of Japan's defeat as enemy propaganda. Survival. He relied on hunting, foraging, and improvised shelters to survive in the harsh jungle environment. Isolation. Over time, Onoda's companions either surrendered or died, leaving him alone for many years. Despite efforts by local authorities to convince him the war had ended, he refused to believe leaflets, newspapers, or radio broadcasts reporting Japan's surrender. The longest holdout. Onoda remained in the jungle for nearly 30 years, surviving through incredible resourcefulness. Camouflage and stealth. He avoided capture by moving silently, living off the land, and blending into the environment. Persistence of duty. Onoda maintained strict adherence to his wartime orders, continuing guerrilla tactics against what he still perceived as enemy forces. Psychological impact. Decades of isolation shaped his worldview, creating a life entirely defined by military duty and survival. Discovery and surrender. In 1974, a Japanese explorer, Noriyuki Shimizu, found Onoda and tried to persuade him that the war had ended decades earlier. Onoda refused to surrender without official orders from his commanding officer. The Japanese government sent Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, his former superior, to formally relieve him of duty. Only then did Onoda finally lay down his arms on March 9, 1974, almost 30 years after the end of World War II. Aftermath and legacy. Onoda returned to Japan to a mix of astonishment and admiration. Public fascination. His story became world famous, symbolizing loyalty, perseverance, and the extremes of human commitment. Life after war. Onoda later moved to Brazil, working as a rancher, and eventually returned to Japan. He became an advocate for environmental conservation. Lessons in war and duty. Onoda's story highlights both the valor and tragedy of unquestioning obedience, raising questions about loyalty, ethics, and the psychological effects of war. Significance. Hiroo Onoda's experience provides several insights. The strength of conviction. Extreme dedication can enable survival in the harshest conditions. Isolation and perception. Decades in isolation can profoundly shape one's reality and understanding of events. The human cost of war. Onoda's story underscores how war's influence can extend far beyond official declarations of peace. Historical fascination. His tale remains a striking example of how individual stories can capture the imagination and teach lessons about history, duty, and perseverance. The story of Hiroo Onoda, the Japanese soldier who refused to surrender until 1974, is both astonishing and poignant. It illustrates unwavering loyalty, extraordinary survival skills, and the psychological complexities of war. While the world moved on after 1945, Onoda's jungle existence reminds us that the impact of conflict can endure long after treaties are signed, leaving a legacy of courage, resilience, and reflection on the true costs of war.